Silence, all rise. The Supreme Court of Queensland is now in session. Any person having any business before the courts, come forward and announce your presence, and you shall be heard. Please be seated.
I'm just getting the last use out of Justice Daubney. Today, of course, we join to farewell the Honourable Justice Martin Daubney AM as a judge of this court. I acknowledge and welcome Justice Greenwood and judges of the Federal Court, judges of the Federal Circuit and Family Court, Judge Devereux and many District Court judges, President Kingham of the Land Court and members of that court, Vice President O'Connor of the Industrial Court of Queensland, and Deputy Chief Magistrates Brasington and Gett. The locally based judges of the High Court are unable to be here because of their court commitments. Chief Justice Kiefel has particularly asked that I mention her apology. At the bar table, I acknowledge Mr. Sandy Thompson QC, Solicitor General, who represents the Attorney General, Mr. Sullivan QC, the President of the Bar Association, and Ms. Shearer, the President of the Law Society. In the audience, I note with pleasure the presence of many retired judges of this court, and I welcome the Shadow Attorney General, Mr. Tim Nicholls, MP, as well as Mr. David Mackey, the Director General of the Department of Justice and Attorney General, many other very senior officers from government agencies, and other distinguished guests from the profession and the Academy, as well, of course, as members of the public. There is a link to courtrooms in Rockhampton, where Justice Crowe joins us, and Townsville, as well as an overflow court. And now I turn to His Honour's invited guests, all of whom are very welcome. There are a number. They are pieces in the jigsaw of His Honour's life, representing his personal life, his professional life, his interests. So I'll acknowledge some of them in particular as I touch on those subjects. But, of course, everything starts with family. So we're delighted to see here Mrs. Rosie Daubney, who for many years has been a much-loved member of the court community. And we have on video link their daughter, Hannah. It was so close that you could have physically been here, but I know your parents will be longing to see you next week in person. And going back a little further to the beginnings of family life, we have His Honour's brothers, Terry and Michael, and his sister-in-law, Jane. Now, I'm sure it will come as no surprise to any of you that His Honour grew up and remains Catholic and has been heavily involved in the Church, serving on archdiocesan councils and committees, and being the National Vice President of the Order of Malta. That facet of his life is reflected in the presence here of His Grace Bishop Howell, Auxiliary Bishop of Brisbane. Moving to his professional life, Justice Daubney was for some 18 months a solicitor. He was admitted to the bar in 1988 and was appointed senior counsel in 2000. The professional facet of his life is, of course, represented by the many members of the legal profession here today, but also importantly by the presence of the Honourable Paul de Jersey, our former Governor, and the Chief Justice of this court at the time, Justice Daubney, was appointed to the Supreme Court in 2007. He joins us with Mrs. Kay de Jersey. And also in connection with His Honour's long and distinguished judicial career, it's appropriate to mention that 7 of his former associates are seated at the front of the court, while another 2 join us on live stream. While still at the bar, His Honour spent 10 years on the Council of the Bar Association, of which he was president in the time leading up to his appointment to the court, and he was also on the Council of the Australian Bar Association. The older among you will remember his regular activities with Justice Martin. I hesitate to say that he was Robin to Justice Martin's Batman, but they were a dynamic duo, and they were responsible for simply the best Australian Bar Association conferences with the most impressive guest speaker lineups that any of us has ever been to. Those were the days. Meanwhile, over his years in practice, His Honour undertook a number of less high-profile but equally important roles which supported and advanced the legal profession. Membership of the Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, the Management Committee of the Bar Practice Course, and Directorship of the Law Council of Australia. Somewhere in there he found time for practice, both in litigation and in mediations. And since appointment as a judge, His Honour has continued his close links with the profession in a number of ways, but they include being Vice Chair of the International Bar Association for a period. Now, all these activities, combined with the daily work of a busy barrister and then trial division judge, place extraordinary demands on anybody's time. So it's all the more remarkable that His Honour has found time to be heavily involved in education in the university sector. He spent 2 terms as a member of the University of Queensland Senate and served on a variety of the university's committees, which brings me to acknowledge the presence here of Mr. Peter Varghese, AO, and Mr. John Story, AO, the current and former Chancellor of the University of Queensland, and Professor Deborah Terry, AO, the current Vice-Chancellor of the university. His Honour's concern with the University of Queensland extended to King's College, where he himself had been a resident undergraduate. He became President of the College Council and patron of the King's College Foundation. And here I acknowledge the presence of Mr. Greg Eddy, the Master of King's College. But wait, there's more. Not content with those extracurricular activities, Justice Daubney is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Queensland Art Gallery and a member of the Gallery of Modern Art Foundation Committee. And here I acknowledge and welcome Professor Ian O'Connor, AC, the Chair of the Board of Trustees, and Mr. Chris Saines, the Director of both galleries. And His Honour has also chaired committees for the Queensland Symphony Orchestra and the Lev Lysenko Piano Competition and Festival, but sadly I think there are no musicians among his guests. Returning to matters legal, as you will all know, in October 2017, His Honour took on the challenging role of President of the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal, still in combination with his continuing role as a trial judge. In typical style, His Honour became an advocate for the tribunal, agitating for improved conditions and resources, with some success, although, of course, never as much as he would have wanted. I note the presence here of many of the senior members and members of QCAT, and also of Ms Natalie Parker, the Principal Registrar and Executive Director, who has worked very closely with His Honour over the past 4 years. His Honour has given this court service for almost a decade and a half. He is ready to move on to the next stage, which reflects his long-standing interest in university education. He ceases as a judge on 31 December. I think I'm correct in saying on 1st of January he becomes Chancellor of the Australian Catholic University. And here I note the presence by video link of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Scribish, who has no idea what kind of Christmas decorations are going to be visited on the Australian Catholic University this time next year. Justice Daubney tells me that the robes for the position of Chancellor of the University are far more ornate and impressive than judicial robes, and I feel confident that he will fill them to perfection. Justice Daubney, we are all very sorry to see you go from us, but it is obvious that this is a role to which you are superbly suited and in which you will flourish. So one can't possibly be sad for you. You leave with our congratulations and best wishes. Mr. Thompson.
May it please the Court, may I first respectfully acknowledge the Yagara and Turrbal people, the traditional owners of the land on which this Court sits this morning, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. In the interest of efficiency, I will adopt the Chief Justice's acknowledgement of the many members of the judiciary, both state and federal, the distinguished guests present today and members of the legal profession. Chief Justice, Mr O'Sullivan of Queen's Counsel, Ms Shearer, the President of the Queensland Law Society. Justice Daubney, Mrs Daubney, Your Honour's daughter Hannah, watching proceedings by video, other members of Your Honour's family and friends. Justice Daubney, counting back, I think I have had more losses than wins before Your Honour, but nonetheless, it was always a pleasure to appear in Your Honour's court. I was therefore extremely pleased to be asked to stand in as the second law officer of the state of Queensland for the Honourable Shannon Fentiman, MP, Attorney General, Minister for Justice, Minister for Women, Minister for the Prevention of Domestic and Family Violence, who again, for efficiency and brevity, I will henceforth refer to as the Attorney General. The Attorney General regrets she's unable to be present today and wishes to be associated with my comments. Your Honour's departure is unquestionably a significant loss to the judiciary of Queensland and to the administration of justice in this state. The presence of so many at this ceremony is a testament to the esteem in which you are held not only by judicial colleagues but also the court staff and both branches of the profession. Your Honour, together with your brothers, Terry and Michael, both here today, was educated at Downlands College in Toowoomba. After leaving Downlands, Your Honour attended Sacred Heart Monastery in Croydon, New South Wales in 1979 and 1980 for pre-novitiate studies, but was tempted from that calling to another, graduating from the University of Queensland with a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws in 1986. Your Honour was admitted then as a solicitor in 1987, but called to the bar in 1988, where you developed a substantial commercial litigation and mediation practice in many diverse areas of the law. Your Honour was a generalist in the true sense of the word. Also admitted to practice in Fiji, Your Honour appeared in that country's High Court from 1994 to 2007 on many occasions. Your Honour also co-authored 2 legal texts, Time Limits in Queensland and the Company Secretary's Handbook. In 2000, Your Honour was appointed Senior Counsel and as Senior Counsel served in the position of Chair of the Queensland Thoroughbred Racing Inquiry in 2004 and 2005. As a barrister, Your Honour made a substantial contribution to the bar and the advancement of your profession. You were a member of the Bar Council for more than 10 years, serving firstly as a councillor, then as Honorary Treasurer, later Vice President, and then in 2006-2007 as the President. Additionally, you served as a Director of the Law Council of Australia and a member of the Council of the Australian Bar Association. You were also on the Management Committee of Queensland Bar Practice Course for 7 years and the Legal Practitioners Admission Board for 3 years. In addition to the many other things that the Chief Justice has mentioned, you have participated throughout your career, both at the bar and judicially, in advancing your former profession as a barrister, for which I'm sure Mr Sullivan will express the bar's great appreciation. In July 2007, you were appointed to the Supreme Court of Queensland. Your Honour quickly developed a reputation among the legal profession for taking a direct approach in handling matters, and I've been informed that those administrative skills were from time to time also applied in comparing trivia nights. However, the true testament to Your Honour's skill in managing people rose to the attention more prominently of the bar and the profession in 2012, when Your Honour was called upon to deal with a particular criminal matter, in the course of which the accused embarked upon hurling profanities both at the bench and at court staff, including offering Your Honour a Mickey Mouse badge and proffering the now famous invitation, while you're at it, order me a ... pizza of a particular variety embellished by expletives. Your Honour, unperturbed, dealt with the matter efficiently and later commented that you had heard worse insults on the rugby field. The transcript of the incident was widely circulated around the profession and reported in Justinian, who confirmed your title officially as the Daub Star, enhancing Your Honour's reputation immeasurably and drawing widespread admiration from for Your Honour's restraint and measured perseverance. During your period on the bench, Your Honour continued wider service to the profession as a member of the Queensland Law Society's Commercial Litigation Specialist Accreditation Committee, Vice Chair and Chair of the International Bar Association Judges Forum, and a member of that association's International Judicial Integrity Initiative Expert Panel. In 2017, after 10 years on the bench, Your Honour was appointed the fourth President of the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal. Until your recent retirement from that role, Your Honour guided the Tribunal through a period of growth, including considerable expansion of its jurisdiction. Under Your Honour's stewardship, QCAT has played a vital role in our legal system, much of it at the grassroots level. As Your Honour has stated, the thousands of matters the Tribunal handles each year are far from small claims or minor disputes. Some matters involving millions of dollars. Many disputes are potentially life-changing to those involved. At Your Honour's direction, every practice, policy and procedure was reviewed and streamlined, and significant reforms were implemented to improve QCAT's operation to better provide access to justice. Part of this process and part of your legacy to QCAT is Your Honour's slip rule. It is simple, a legal, innovative and proportionate step that is now embedded in QCAT's culture. Also adding to the task was the impact of the global pandemic, which has created challenges not only for QCAT but of course for all courts and the profession in Queensland. Under Your Honour's stewardship, QCAT worked through that period, and the Attorney-General has specifically asked me to extend her thanks to Your Honour for your hard work and dedication to QCAT, particularly during that period. Your leadership as President was highly valued by the members and staff of the Tribunal, and you will be greatly missed. During Your Honour's term as a judge of this court and on QCAT, Your Honour, according to Austlii, has presided over upwards of 1,000 cases, which is a testament to the long service that Your Honour has given to the people of Queensland. Your Honour's extensive contribution to the legal profession was, as the Chief Justice has pointed out, mirrored by your wider public service through involvement with numerous religious, community, educational and cultural organisations. Your membership and leadership roles with the Catholic Church Australian Association of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta is a marked feature of that, assisting the poor, sick, homeless. Your Honour is also a co-founder of the Order's Coat for the Homeless program in Queensland. Your Honour is also a member of the Catholic Archdiocese of Brisbane's Finance Council and Property Committee. The education sector in Queensland has also been a significant beneficiary of Your Honour's commitment, expertise and experience through your involvement with the University of Queensland, including its Senate and the University of Southern Queensland's Law School Advisory Committee, as well as the Stuart Home School Foundation and the Australian Catholic University. Many students at King's College, where you were a resident from 1980 to 1981, have been mentored and supported by you during their careers. Your Honour was recognised with the College's UQ Alumni Award in 2019 and an honorary fellowship in 2017 of the Australian Catholic University, where you take up your new role as Chancellor on the 1st of January. Your contributions to the arts have also included work as a board member and chair of various arts activities and a membership of the Queensland Art Gallery Board of Trustees. Your Honour is renowned for your love of poetry, music and film, and is remembered well by the bar and those who were present for your occasional breaking into song or verse at various occasions. Always jovial and endowed with a sharp wit. At one time, I am told, Your Honour, had a mobile ringtone, which was the theme song from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, generating speculation by those appearing before you as to which role might be bestowed on the various participants. Your Honour, the Attorney-General has asked me also to note that Your Honour is the only President of QCAT, at least so far, to have referenced the movie Casablanca in a Tribunal annual report. On behalf of the Attorney-General, the Queensland Government and myself, I extend best wishes to Your Honour for your career change. The bench's loss is that sector's obvious gain. You will no doubt make important and enduring contributions in your new role as you have done in your legal profession. I congratulate Your Honour on an extraordinary career of service to our legal system and more widely to the people of Queensland, and extend on their behalf thanks for that commitment and service. May it please the Court.
Mr Sullivan.
May it please the Court. On behalf of the Bar Association of Queensland, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you on the occasion of the valedictory ceremony for Your Honour, Justice Martin Daubney. Justice Daubney, I extend particular welcome to your wife Rosie and also to your daughter Hannah. As some may recall from Your Honour's swearing in, Rosie and Hannah mean everything to you, and it is fitting that they are once again front and centre for today's ceremony, albeit only visually for Hannah. Whilst we gather today to celebrate the end of a judicial career spanning some 14 years, the Association should not fail to touch on the nearly 2 decades which Your Honour spent at the bar. You completed your legal studies in 1986, being awarded a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Laws from the University of Queensland. The study followed 2 years of pre-novitiate study, merely a change of direction in your career, as your faith has always remained ever present. In 1988, Your Honour commenced at the private bar in Brisbane, where you excelled. You built a large and diverse commercial practice, and at the turn of the century, you took silk. Your Honour's greatest skill was in the area of mediation. You always had the gift of putting people at their ease and otherwise conciliating what, from outward appearances, would seem to be intractable positions. It was perhaps the recognition of this particular skill which led to one of Your Honour's most notable achievements in practice. In 2005, you were tasked with the conduct of the Queensland Thoroughbred Racing Inquiry with your good friend, Judge Rafter. The state racing scene at that time was a fractured one. Your Honour's ethos for this inquiry from the start was that there was no price too high to pay in order to ensure the ultimate integrity of Queensland racing. This required you to navigate through the evidence of a countless parade of pork pie-hatted witnesses, many of whom who chose to take what Your Honour later referred to as the Sergeant Schultz defence, I know nothing. I noted that in your speech at Judge Rafter's swearing in, you had confessed to requiring him to translate the racing dialect, which you said was entirely alien to you. I found this a somewhat surprising statement until my research disclosed Daubney was an Anglo-Norman name rather than an Anglo-Irish one. Your Honour had obviously suffered from an absence of an SP bookmaker in the family, leading to the regrettable lapse in your education in the punting lingo. Whilst balancing the demands of your own practice, Your Honour was a leader at the bar. You spent more than a decade as a member of the Bar Council, including many years as the Honorary Treasurer, a year as Vice President in 2005, then President in 2006, a title which you held until you were directly elevated to this court. Your Honour is recognised as one of the finest orators to grace either side of the bar table in this state. It has always been a great pleasure to speak before Your Honour, both as an advocate and in speaking order. For the former, because of the calm and measured approach which you have always taken to matters on your docket. For the latter, so as not to be overshadowed by one such as yourself and your command of language and rhetoric. On the bench, Your Honour has had a unique presence. With the greatest of respect to justices past and present, you are known as the funniest person on the Supreme Court bench. You are credited with changing the environment of the court and its demeanour. Gone are the days of hushed hallways and closed doors in the old Supreme Court building. Nowadays, one might expect to find you in your chambers on Martin Place, alongside their Honours Justice Glenn Martin and Justice Martin Burns. Alternatively, Your Honour might perhaps be found waiting to jump out of a broom cupboard, as I am reliably informed you did in welcoming one particular judge to the court. Of course, Your Honour's most well-known abode was always at the side of Themis. Not, of course, to pay homage to the goddess of good counsel, but rather as the last place adjacent to the courts where you could still legally smoke. There are trials and tribulations which come with an appointment to the bench. It was a tradition upon appointment that the new judge would take over the old judge's government car. Unluckily for you, you succeeded Justice Hellman. Both a wonderful man and a good judge, Justice Hellman's only vice was his overly thrifty nature. He had ordered a government car which happened to be the smallest Peugeot ever manufactured in the world. Not since Big Ears borrowed Noddy's car had there been a greater mismatch between vehicle and driver. Fortunately for all, sense prevailed and Your Honour was provided with a carriage more befitting of your noble stature. I could continue for many hours repeating any of the multitude of anecdotes I've been told by members of the bar in preparation for this ceremony. However, it is important to acknowledge the work you have done as President of QCAT. Under your leadership since 2017, the Tribunal has shown its ability to efficiently resolve great numbers of matters. Your Honour was able to continue this vital work throughout the COVID period. This stands as a credit to you and the other members of that tribunal. You now take on a new role as Chancellor of the Australian Catholic University. This will involve periodically returning to Banyo. There could be no greater coalescence in this role than one which combines service of education, a commitment to the community and the guiding hand of a decision maker. Those qualities which you were recognised for upon your appointment as a member of the Order of Australia in 2018. You will bring to that job not only your invaluable experience as a barrister and judge, but also those aspects of your personality that have always stood out. They are the exhibition of kindness to others, an innate sense of what is right, a wonderful sense of humour, and the ability to bring people together. It is these attributes which have made you one of the most popular persons at the bar and on the bench. It is my privilege on behalf of the Bar Association of Queensland and its members to thank you sincerely for your service to the court and to the community. We wish you and your family all the best for the future. May it please the court.
Ms. Shearer.
May it please the Court, I'm very glad to be here today on behalf of the Solicitors of Queensland to acknowledge and celebrate the judicial career of the Honourable Justice Martin Daubney AM. Your Honour's contribution to the administration of justice in our state has been a direct and varied one. You're the longest-serving trial judge of the Supreme Court of Queensland, and at the other end of our system of civil justice have been President of the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal. Both roles touch the lives of countless Queenslanders. Your presidential role has proven perhaps more challenging than you might have expected when appointed in 2017, because for almost half your term you had the challenge of leading the very high-volume but very low-tech tribunal that is QCAT through the pandemic. You've remained a great advocate for the vital jurisdictions of QCAT through this time and have written and spoken of the testing of the tribunal's processes, systems and technology that occurred. Always the effective advocate, you were successful in having significant and much-needed resources made available to QCAT in this year's state budget. Next year, we can look forward to the first steps into a coordinated approach to electronic case management in some of the tribunal's jurisdictions. Your legacy championing the improvement of this jurisdiction, so vital to the lives of so many, will continue to bear fruit in the years ahead. The Queensland Law Society is particularly appreciative of your willingness to consult with our members with expertise in the various jurisdictions of the tribunal about process improvements. But beyond your role in the formal administration of justice, the solicitors branch of the profession has much to thank you for. Your honour is well known to the solicitors of Queensland because you've been such a stalwart contributor to our events on so many occasions. The Queensland Law Society's records include notes of your many engagements and generous contributions to our profession and its development. You are a contributor and member of our Commercial Litigation Specialist Accreditation Advisory Committee for almost 10 years and deeply engaged in our program for recognising our specialist leaders in that area of practice. Your honour also contributed generously to the many and varied professional development events held by the Society, being a regular speaker at our symposium, succession and elder law conferences, and at other events on a range of topics, including alternative dispute resolution and ethics. Your contributions have extended beyond those typically required of a Justice of the Supreme Court. You have truly been a man for all seasons. While on some occasions you have been an erudite presenter on topics of great seriousness, on other occasions you have been an entertaining and, using the term with the utmost respect and referencing not foolishness but the best traditions of Monty Python, a very silly quizmaster. You have been the distinguished guest speaker at our ceremonies to honour our members who have achieved important milestones. On these occasions, Your Honour's heartfelt words uplift and inspire the hard-working and usually uncelebrated solicitors we are honouring, and their family members beam with pride at the recognition you bestow on them. On other occasions, you've been an after-dinner speaker of such glittering hilarity that the laughter is very long and very loud indeed. On every occasion, your generosity of spirit has been evident in abundance. You've shared your expertise and wisdom, you've entertained us with your eloquence and wit, and you have added gravitas and distinction to any gathering. In August 2014, the Society was honoured that you accepted our offer of honorary membership. Of course, you've gone on to far greater honours than that, having been appointed a member of the Order of Australia in 2018 for significant service to law and to the judiciary, to education and the community. And while perhaps it's not an honour to emphasise that you are indeed a man for all seasons, it's worth noting that the publication Justinian, known more for its propensity to deride than praise, has described you without irony as an absolute ornament to the bench. We are confident that as you leave behind life as a forester in the thickets of the law, you will bring equal distinction to your role as University Chancellor. Your grander ceremonial robes will render you even more ornamental, and it may even be that with the addition of the Renaissance hat, you come to more closely inhabit the role of the man for all seasons: lawyer, judge, social philosopher, author, statesman, and noted humanist. irrespective of whether canonisation follows. We can be confident that you will bring to the very highest echelons of higher learning your own commitment to the pursuit of knowledge, the dignity of the human person, and common good. For the years you have spent in the law and your contribution and engagement with our branch of the profession, the Solicitors of Queensland are deeply grateful, and we wish you well on this occasion of your retirement from the court. May it please the court.
Justice Daubney.
Chief Justice, Solicitor General, Mr Sullivan, Ms Shearer, today you have individually and collectively raised the level of hyperbole customary at these events to new stratospheric heights. I listened carefully to everything you said and must say that the longer you spoke, the less I recognised the person you were describing. That is undoubtedly due in no small part to the self-effacing modesty and almost crippling humility for which I am so well known, and about which there is so much commentary in the coffee houses of George Street. But you four have surpassed yourselves today. Your lyrical encomia painted the picture of a jurist of almost mythical proportions. So moved was I by your persuasive panegyrics that just a few moments ago I underwent a sort of existential epiphany. How selfish of me to deprive the court and the people of this state of the jurisprudential powerhouse you each took such care to describe. The only right and proper thing for me to do is to ask the Chief Justice to adjourn this sitting immediately so that I may proceed to Government House and tender a withdrawal of my resignation. That principled resolution was, however, immediately followed by a more important insight, that by doing so I would undoubtedly forfeit the right to the morning tea which is waiting for us outside. And I think we all know where my priorities lie. You'll be greatly relieved to hear that I have no intention today of sharing my reflections on the rule of law or offering commentary on issues of law reform, nor will I be taking you on a meandering trip down memory lane. Today, quite simply, is my opportunity to offer thanks for the last 14 and a half years. Chief Justice, may I thank you and all the judges of the Supreme Court for honouring me with this ceremony. While it may be trite to say that the opportunity to serve with you all at the apex of justice in this state has been the defining privilege of my professional life, that sentiment is nevertheless accurate and true. I am honoured today by the presence of so many members of this and other courts and tribunals, many of whom are long-standing colleagues and friends. And I'm particularly delighted by the presence of so many retired judges. And given the length of time I have been here, there are quite a few of those. Some of the judges with whom I have served have since passed away, and we remember them fondly. Several were called from this court to higher duties. In one case, the very highest office in this state. And Rosie and I are delighted that the Honourable Paul de Jersey is with us today. Many of the current and former judges of this and other courts are women and men who were my role models and mentors, and who became and remain my friends. I offer all of my judicial colleagues my heartfelt thanks for your camaraderie and your support. Solicitor General, through you may I thank the Government for entrusting me with judicial office some 14 and a half years ago. May I particularly thank both the current Attorney-General and her predecessor for ensuring that during my time as President of the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal, I enjoyed a mutually respectful and consultative relationship with them, their officers and the executive government. I am particularly grateful to both of them for listening to and supporting my notoriously subtle and diplomatic requests for better resourcing for QCAT. I'm also pleased to record that I enjoyed bipartisan political support in my role as President of QCAT and express my gratitude to the current and former Shadow Attorneys General for their keen interest in the Tribunal. Mr Sullivan, I thank you and the Bar for most of what you said today. More importantly, may I thank you and all the barristers who have appeared before me over the years for staying true to your vocations of fearless advocacy while furthering the administration of justice. A strong, independent bar is one of the true jewels of our common law system of justice. With the benefit now of many years' experience, I can assure you that the notion that judges rely on the counsel appearing before them is not a mere platitude, but reflects the reality that an appropriately symbiotic relationship between the bench and the bar promotes efficiency in the administration of justice. You and your members have my sincere thanks for your support and assistance over the last 14 and a half years, and importantly, for laughing at the right spots without too much prompting. Ms Shearer, I am genuinely touched by your remarks on behalf of the Solicitors of Queensland. As you have mentioned, I started my legal career as a solicitor. There are some present here today who have been my colleagues and friends since before even my first days as an articled clerk. They are the ones still shaking their heads in wonder when they see me sitting up here. The vast majority of Queensland solicitors are strong and steadfast and loyal and deeply committed to protecting the operation of the rule of law in its most fundamental intersections with the affairs of their clients. My many personal and professional engagements with the Law Society and its members have been a great source of satisfaction for me, and for that I am very grateful. None of you will be surprised to hear me reserve special words of thanks for my time as President of QCAT. My tenure at QCAT proved to be something of a watershed in my life, both professionally and personally. I won't detain you all today with one of my well-rehearsed stump speeches about the important roles played by the Tribunal in the civil justice system in this state. It's enough to recall that the vast majority of Queenslanders live happy, contented and completely fulfilled lives without ever setting foot inside the Supreme Court, while literally tens and tens of thousands of Queenslanders engage with the civil justice system of this state each year through QCAT. They are the mums and dads, the students and the grandparents, the tradies and the small business people, the incapacitated adults and the displaced children, amongst many others. They are from all walks of life and all strata of society. The cases decided in QCAT impact directly on their lives, their families' lives, their homes, their jobs, their well-being. In many respects, QCAT is the gateway to civil justice for everyday Queenslanders. That it is able to discharge that role successfully and has been able to do so under the COVID-impacted circumstances of the last 20 months is a testament to the fact that QCAT consists of a team of extraordinary people doing extraordinary work. It has been my privilege to support the members and the adjudicators as they administer justice across the broad range of QCAT's jurisdictions, and to work with the talented and innovative QCAT registry and client services staff who facilitate the functioning of the Tribunal and its interactions with the public. I especially thank the Deputy Presidents with whom I served, Judge Suzanne Sheridan and Judge John Allen, for their unstinting support. I was completely reliant on the Tribunal's permanent senior members, Michelle Howard, Tina Guthrie, Ian Brown and Ned Orteson, and the acting senior members for their leadership, advice and administrative expertise in managing the workings of a complex tribunal, and I thank them all for their support. To the Tribunal's registry, client services and support staff, led by the outstanding Principal Registrar and Executive Director, Ms Natalie Parker, and her Deputy, Ms Melissa Meldrum, I can only say that I will be forever grateful for everything you have done over the last 4 years to support me in my role as President and in enabling QCAT to function more effectively. I should also record my thanks to the amazing staff and volunteers of both Law Right and Court Network. The legal and personal support these groups provide to litigants and their families, most of whom are unfamiliar with and stressed by court and tribunal processes, is invaluable. And to my executive assistant at QCAT, the exceptionally efficient Jessica Sleep, I simply say, thank you, Jess, for keeping the chaos of my life so well organised over the last 4 years. I also express my sincere thanks to Mr David Mackey, Director General of the Department of Justice and Attorney General, and the Deputy Director General Justice Services, Ms Jennifer Lang. Maintaining the boundaries of the appropriate separation of powers can sometimes require discernment and a clear understanding of where the line lies and how we avoid stepping over it. With both David and Jenny, I have had the experience for the last 4 years of working closely and collaboratively to further the interests of QCAT, while paradoxically remaining at all times at appropriate arm's length to ensure the Tribunal's independence. I have appreciated the respectful and transparent way in which they have dealt with me and their palpable commitment to improving the delivery of justice services in this state. Every group I am mentioning in this litany is special, but one cohort stands out. I speak, of course, of my associates. Many of them are here today. Others are interstate or overseas and are joining us by video link. The opportunity to spend a year shadowing a judge, assisting the judge and working deep in the heart of the justice system is one of the most valuable gifts we judges can give our talented graduates. What the associates may not realise is how much they bring into our professional lives. That we are grateful for your professional assistance goes without saying. But, as my associates certainly experienced, you become our sounding boards, our confidants, and our youthful reality checkers. And for my part at least, my associates kept me grounded. Some of my associates have stayed in the law, others have ventured into other career paths. Wherever they are, my associates are simply outstanding individuals. I am very proud of each of you, and I thank you all. Court cases don't happen in a vacuum, but require a huge back-of-house effort from registry staff, court support staff, bailiffs, IT specialists, and the many other administrative staff who keep this place functioning. I also mention the invaluable assistance provided to the judges by the staff of the Supreme Court Library. Please accept my sincere thanks to you all. For nearly the entirety of my judicial career, I have had one executive assistant here at the court. Were I to start listing the debts of gratitude I owe Debbie Ferris, we would be here all day. Her only shortcoming was her insistence on reminding me whenever the All Blacks prevailed. Debbie has been travelling the state this year on extended long service leave, and in a curious twist of synchronicity, my current executive assistant, Megan Newnham, was my barrister's secretary in the 1990s. Simply saying thank you to Debbie and Megan doesn't seem anywhere near sufficient, but my thanks are real and genuine. May I also mention a special word of thanks to Janine Mitchell, the Chief Justice's executive assistant, who has so brilliantly event managed today's ceremony. Whilst my service here in the court and at QCAT for the last 14 and a half years has been my vocation, my life has been enormously enriched by engagement in a variety of extracurricular activities. Some of those were directly related to the law and the profession. Others have had particular personal resonance and relevance and opened avenues for me to seek to express my faith in action and to make some contribution to higher education and the preservation and promotion of artistic expression in all its forms. Importantly, for me at least, this rewarding life outside the law has provided me with balance and perspective in the course of my judicial career, and for that I'm truly grateful. To Bishop Howell of the Archdiocese of Brisbane, the Honourable James Douglas, Australian President of the Order of Malta, Mr Story and Mr Varghese, the Chancellors under whom I served on the Senate of the University of Queensland, and to its Vice-Chancellor, Professor Terry, to Mr Eddy, the Master of King's College, and to Professor O'Connor, Chair of the Board of Trustees, and Mr Sains, Director of the Queensland Art Gallery and Gallery of Modern Art, may I express my sincere thanks for honouring me with your presence today. I can assure you that any contribution I have been able to make has been repaid many times over by the fulfilment I have experienced by working with you for the advancement of these important areas of our society. Some of my oldest and dearest friends have joined us today, either in person or by video link. Some are lawyers, some, thankfully, are not. You know who you are, and I won't embarrass you by mentioning you by name. Your friendships are precious gifts, not least because none of you has ever allowed me to take myself too seriously. Thank you for sharing the journey with me. But now it is time for me to turn the page and start the next chapter, a significant part of which will be devoted to my new role as Chancellor of Australian Catholic University. ACU is at once a public university and a faith-based institution. What that means is that the position of Chancellor sits at a unique intersection of academic politics, civic politics, and church politics. What could possibly go wrong? I am deeply honoured to have been offered the opportunity to take up this important role next year and look forward to working with the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Skribish, in advancing ACU's core commitments to the pursuit of knowledge, the dignity of the human person, and the common good. Undoubtedly, the most important but most inadequate words of thanks from me today are to my family. My brother Terry and his wife Jane and my brother Michael have been my constant companions on the journey. Terry, Michael and I are and always have been close, and our support for one another is unwavering. Thank you for always being there. I am proud of you both, as Mum and Dad would have been of the three of us. At the centre, of course, are Rosie and Hannah. Words haven't been invented by which I can properly express my thanks for your love and for your support. You have been infinitely tolerant and supportive of me in all chapters of my life. You are my best friends and the ones closest to my heart. Thank you for everything. Thank you all for gathering here today and for permitting me to indulge in this plenitude of gratitude. The term valedictory, of course, means words of farewell, and it is in that context that I am able to offer my final expression of thanks. You see, some weeks ago, a senior judge of this court, who will remain nameless, but whose initials are Glenn Charles Martin, bet me a crisp $10 note that I wouldn't be able to incorporate a line from any song in The Sound of Music in this speech. Now, I haven't been able to monitor the judge from this particular vantage point, but I dare say when I review the video later, I will see that as the speech has gone on, he has appeared ever more smug and confident that his money is safe and that his family will run to topside mince on the table this weekend. So the final thing I wish to give thanks for is that from this place at least, I can now say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye.
Well, Justice Martin is not to be Justice Daubney is Justice Martin is to be disappointed. Justice Daubney is not to be disappointed because we have morning tea outside, to which you're all welcome, possibly with scones. Let the proceedings be recorded. Adjourn the court.
Silence all rise. Court stands adjourned.